Hello out there, and today's video, guys, is a little bit different from what I intended because I was looking forward to posting a video about my first knife mod in a long time. I'm trying to get back into that game and was looking forward to sharing it with all of you. And unfortunately, things just sort of get in the way, and I have to talk about something that just I'm not really happy to do because today's video on the Kershaw Innuendo is not a positive one. This knife here is a sloppy mess, and yeah, it's a little bit upsetting actually, because a month ago at Blade Show when I handled this thing, I was really stoked on it, excited to get one. I talked about how, I was looking forward to it and was recommending it to all of you, and that's really why I want to post this video ASAP, just to sort of throw a red flag out there for some of you who might have been taking that recommendation from the previous video and some of my previous conversations that this is a knife to get, because at this point I can't really endorse it. And let me go through it and tell you why. And for those of you who are going to say, well, it's a budget knife, what do you expect? I'm going to bring in a couple other Kershaw budget knives that definitely don't have the problems that this one does. And those examples of budget execution are what I set my expectations based on, if that makes sense. But anyway, the biggest issue, number one, first and foremost, with the execution of this knife is the lockup. The lockup is like almost non-existent. Now, a couple of videos ago, actually, I had some up and down issues with a QSP model, a Mamba, and I said I felt that that was relatively safe. This one, though, the lockup is garbage. I mean, it just isn't there. I mean, if you take a look at this stainless steel frame, when this lock tries to engage, I mean, there's no... I'm trying to figure, like, what the word is for it, but, like, sometimes you'll see a knife lock up and it is intentional, the way that the lock face, matches the tang. They are meant to fit together. And here, it's just moving over because it has to, and there's no real engagement. And this knife doesn't feel secure to me. And actually, I'll bring in the Kershaw Decibel right now. The Decibel is the knife that made me think that this one would be really awesome, because the Decibel has, another like unique kind of style, especially with the lock and the frame. And I had some reservations about how this knife would lock up, but this one is a vault. I mean, this knife is excellent. And when this locks up, it locks up with a purpose, and it's flush, and it's not going anywhere. Over here, though, with the Innuendo, it really just isn't the case. And, if you're holding a knife and squeezing it in hand, you can feel the pressure that's put on the lock bar by bearing down. The tang of the blade putting pressure on the lock bar here, and it doesn't feel good. And I'm not a spine whack test kind of guy. I don't think that anything with a spine whack test is conclusive, but I would not be surprised if this lock failed in hard use. The Mamba that I talked about last week, would be very surprised if that one failed. This one, not so much. So there's a significant issue there. More and more, though, as I look at this knife, I just see a bunch of different, just fit and finish problems. And again, I get it. Some of that's to be expected with a budget knife, but it just doesn't look like time was put into the execution of the design and in making the design as good as they could. There's absolutely no machining inside the frame, which isn't a big deal, but just the overall look of it from here, it just looks sort of cheap. But then as you get closer, you can see some of the details where they just really swung and missed. And maybe you can see right here, I mean, there's just scuffing already. Not sure why, but that's just how it came. And then if you pay close attention to the lines, and I might have to put in photos, but this whole chamfering here is completely wonky. I mean, it rises up here and then dips and then straightens out. And if it did the same thing on the other side, that would make sense. But over here, I mean, you can see it curves up and then dips and then curves up again. I mean, it's just a completely uneven finishing job. And again, I even have some tolerance for that kind of thing. But come on, to that extent, it's just messy. And sometimes you can just see poor quality of workmanship with the coating and in the blade. And I might have to insert a picture, but it looks like there's like sharpening lines. You can see things beneath the coating of the blade. So yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of cosmetic kind of looking issues that are jumping out, and frankly, I mean, it's not acceptable, and it's not acceptable again because I know what Kershaw can do. You know, this knife was a huge surprise, but it has none of those problems. And it's executed really well. And it's right around the same price point. I think the decibel was like $5 more, but there's no reason to buy this if it's going to be executed at that level when you can get a number of other things, you know? I really do like the design. I really do like the look of the knife overall. My big question mark prior to picking up the knife was how's the action going to be, because, you know, it is just one of these things where Kershaw went with the plastic like Teflon washers, but actually it's the best part of the knife. The knife is pretty smooth. You know, it's really fun. Flicks open nicely. No issue with that whatsoever. That's the best part of the knife. I guess the clip could be the best part of the knife too. but overall, yeah, it's just a downer. I mean, if nothing else, honestly, I would probably give this knife a, if it wasn't for the lockup, I would give this knife a fair first impression with some big question marks because of how badly it was finished. You know, just, hey, maybe I got a lemon and some of the other ones look good. That's what I expect, at least with the other ones that are out, that they're not all going to have these kind of issues. But this right here, I mean, you hear that? You hear that movement? I mean, you shouldn't be able to do that. And sometimes when you overextend a lock bar, like, you'll be able to start doing that and stuff, but no. No, that didn't happen. I mean, out of box, it's just garbage. And again, for comparison, I mean, this thing is beyond excellent. This is the best lockup that I could hope for with any knife. And so again, that's the expectation. Kershaw can do it. They did not. Just with the way the rest of the finishing is on the knife, it just leads me to believe that they didn't put the time into executing this the way that they should have. I do have big questions about having that cutout right next to the pivot. I'm not sure 100% exactly what the effects of that would be on this specific model, but it does just raise some concern with just the structure of the knife. But again, I don't think that is the specific problem as to what's causing it. And I mean, you can, look, you can see it moving. Yeah, and if you push really hard, you can push it far enough in that it does achieve full lockup. But one, you shouldn't have to do that. And two, that's not really a long-term fix. And so, yeah, you know, it's just a bummer. I did not want to be in this position. But again, guys, what's going on in the future with this knife? I guess I should have mentioned that earlier, but I am returning it. I've never done that before to Blade HQ. I've never done a Blade HQ return, but I am for this knife because I want to get another example of it just to follow up. And so, yeah, if you are someone who has been following my excitement with this model, just hold off for a little bit before you purchase one, because I'll be getting another one and we'll see how that one is, and we can go from there. Usually in these cases, I like to use the warranty services that the companies provide, but with Kershaw, the last time I used them, it took like 3 months or 2.5 or 3 months to get the knife back, and it didn't resolve in a way that was, I wasn't happy. It wasn't a satisfactory result. And I want to get this done quickly. I want to get another one of these in my hands ASAP. So that's why I'm going to go the Blade HQ return route. Those guys have been on top of it. So hopefully in the next week, I will get another one of these back, and we can see how that one is. All right. Let me know your thoughts. Any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. Sorry that I have to be the guy who talks badly about something, but when it's warranted, and it definitely is today. So thanks for watching, and take care, guys. You have a good one.